Hey, we start a new book today. If you can't figure it out, it is First Samuel. Uh, this is attributed authorship to the prophet Samuel, who we're going to learn about and how he was born. We're going to learn about that today. It was written around 1120 BC. They know that just from the historical aspects of what takes place in the book. So what we found is, although we call Israelites, the Hebrews, a nation of people, what they've really been is a group of 12 tribes broken into family households that have taken over the land, but have not been very united in things unless it affects them. Then they would call on their brother clan to come and help them with something, but they've really had some trouble because they haven't followed God completely, with other nations coming in and defeating them. And so now we get to this stage of of their history where they need to come together. They want to come together, not just under God, but they want to come together as a monarchy. They want a king. They want to be a nation, all 12 tribes as one, so that they can have an army and they can go to battle with these people that are coming in against them. Uh, and so this prophet, God sends this prophet, and let's learn about him right now. We're going to read from First and Second Samuel, and it's going to be in the contemporary English version. Elkanah lived in Ramah, a town in the hill country of Ephraim. His great-great-grandfather was Zuph, so Elkanah was a member of the Zuph clan of the Ephraim tribe. Elkanah's father was Jehoram, his grandfather was Elihu, and his great-grandfather was Tohu. Elkanah had two wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Although Peninnah had children, Hannah did not have any. Once a year, Elkanah traveled from his hometown to Shiloh, where he worshiped the Lord all-powerful and offered sacrifices. Eli was the Lord's priest there, and his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, served with him as priests. Whenever Elkanah offered a sacrifice, he gave some of the meat to Peninnah and some to each of her sons and daughters. But he gave Hannah even more, because he loved Hannah very much, even though the Lord had kept her from having children of her own. Peninnah liked to make Hannah feel miserable about not having any children, especially when the family went to the house of the Lord each year. One day, Elkanah was there offering a sacrifice when Hannah began crying and refused to eat. So Elkanah asked Hannah, "Why are you crying? Why won't you eat? Why do you feel so bad? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons?" When the sacrifice had been offered and they had eaten the meal, Hannah got up and went to pray, and Eli was sitting in his chair near the door to the place of worship. Hannah was brokenhearted and was crying as she prayed, "Lord all-powerful, I am your servant, but I am so miserable. Please let me have a son. I will give him to you for as long as he lives, and his hair will never be cut." Hannah prayed silently to the Lord for a long time, but her lips were moving, and Eli thought she was drunk. "How long are you going to stay drunk?" he asked. "Sober up." "Sir, please don't think I'm no good," Hannah answered. "I'm not drunk. I haven't been drinking. But I do feel miserable and terribly upset. I've been praying all this time, telling the Lord about my problems." Eli replied, "You may go home now and stop worrying. I'm sure the God of Israel will answer your prayer." "Sir, thank you for being so kind to me," Hannah said. Then she left, and after eating something, she felt much better. Elkanah and his family got up early the next morning and worshiped the Lord, and they went back home to Ramah. Later, the Lord blessed Elkanah and Hannah with a son, and she named him Samuel because she had asked the Lord for him. The next time Elkanah and his family went to offer their yearly sacrifices, he took along a gift that he had promised to give to the Lord. But Hannah stayed home because she had told Elkanah, "Samuel and I won't go until he's old enough for me to stop nursing him. Then I'll give him to the Lord, and he can stay there at Shiloh for the rest of his life." "You know what's best," Elkanah said. "Stay here until it's time to stop nursing him. I'm sure the Lord will help you do what you have promised." Hannah did not go to Shiloh until she stopped nursing Samuel. When it was time When it was the time of year to go to Shiloh again, Hannah and Elkanah took Samuel to the Lord's house. They brought along a 3-year-old bull, a 20-pound sack of flour, and a clay jar full of wine. Hannah and Elkanah offered the bull as a sacrifice and then brought the little boy to Eli. Sir, Hannah said, a few years ago I stood here beside you and asked the Lord to give me a child. Here he is. The Lord gave me just what I asked for. Now I am giving him to the Lord, and he will be the Lord's servant for as long as he lives. Elkanah worshiped the Lord there at Shiloh, and Hannah prayed, You make me strong and happy, Lord. You rescued me. Now I can be glad and laugh at my enemies. No other God is like you. We're safer with you than on the high mountain. I can tell those proud people, stop your boasting. Nothing is hidden from the Lord, and he judges what we do. Our Lord, you break the bows of warriors, but you give strength to everyone who stumbles. People who once had plenty to eat must now hire themselves out for only a piece of bread, but you give the hungry more than enough to eat. A woman did not have a child, and you gave her 7, but a woman who had many was left with none. You take away life, and you give life. You send people down to the world of the dead and bring them back again. Our Lord, you are the one who makes us rich or poor. You put some in high positions and bring disgrace on others. You lift the poor and homeless out of the garbage dump and give them places of honor in royal palaces. You set the world on foundations and they belong to you. You protect your loyal people, but everyone who is evil will die in darkness. We cannot win a victory by our own strength. Our Lord, those who attack you will be broken in pieces when you fight back with thunder from heaven. You will judge the earth, the whole earth, and give power and strength to your chosen king. Elkanah and Hannah went back home to Ramah, but the boy Samuel stayed to help Eli serve the Lord. Eli's sons were priests, but they were dishonest and refused to obey the Lord. So while people were boiling the meat from their sacrifices, these priests would send over a servant with a large 3-pronged fork. The servant would stick the fork into the cooking pot, and whatever meat came out on the fork was taken back to the priests. This is how these 2 priests treated every Israelite who came to offer sacrifices in Shiloh. Sometimes when people were offering sacrifices, the servant would come over, even before the fat had been cut off and sacrificed to the Lord. Then the servant would tell them the priest doesn't want his meat boiled. Give him some raw meat that he can roast. Usually the people answer, take what you want, but first let us sacrifice the fat to the Lord. No, the servant would reply, if you don't give it to me now, I'll take it by force. Eli's sons did not show any respect for the sacrifices that the people offered. This was a terrible sin. It made the Lord very angry. The boy Samuel served the Lord and wore a special linen garment and clothes that his mother had made for him. She would bring new clothes every year when she and her husband came to offer sacrifices at Shiloh. Eli would always bless Elkanah and his wife and say, Samuel was born in answer to your prayers. Now you have given him to the Lord. I pray that the Lord will bless you and more children to take his place. After Eli had blessed them, Elkanah and Hannah would return home. The Lord was kind to Hannah, and she had 3 more sons and 2 daughters. But Samuel grew up in the Lord's house in Shiloh. Eli was now very old, and he heard what his sons were doing to the people of Israel. Why are you doing these awful things? He asked them. I've been hearing nothing but complaints about you from all the Lord's people. If you harm another person, God can help make things right between the 2 of you. But if you commit a crime against the Lord, no one can help you. But the Lord had already decided to kill them, so he kept them from listening to their father. Each day the Lord and his people liked Samuel more and more. One day a prophet came to Eli and gave him a message from the Lord. When your ancestors were slaves of the king of Egypt, I came and showed them who I am. Out of the tribes of Israel, I chose your family to be my priests. I wanted them to offer sacrifices and burn incense to me and to find out from me what I want my people to do. I commanded everyone to bring their sacrifices here where I live, and I allowed you and your family to help to keep those that were not offered to me on the altar. But you honor your sons instead of me. You don't respect the sacrifices and offerings that are brought to me, and you've gotten fat from eating the best parts. I am the Lord, the God of Israel. I promised to always let your family serve me as priest, but now I tell you that I cannot do this any longer. I honor anyone who honors me, but I put a curse on anyone who hates me. The time will come when I will kill you and everyone else in your family. Not one of you will live to an old age. Your family will have a lot of trouble. I will be kind to Israel, but everyone in your family will die young. If I let anyone from your family be a priest, his life will be full of sadness and sorrow. But most of the men in your family will die a violent death. To prove it to you, I will do these things. Your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, will die on the same day. I've chosen someone else to be my priest, someone who will be faithful and obey me. I will always let his family serve as priests and help my chosen king. But if anyone is left from your family, he will come to my priest and beg for money or a little bread. He may even say to my priest, please let me be a priest, so I will have at least have something to eat. So we see this interesting story. Here's a picture from the 1400s. It's in the Netherlands right now, of Elkanah and of his two wives. Something interesting there. So we see Samuel is being dedicated to God. Shiloh, remember, is the place where the tent is, the temple is, the worship. Everybody is supposed to go there. And we see Elkanah is still faithful to that. Is still going there. But we see that Eli, although he is probably a decent priest, he is not raising his sons to do that. And we see his sons taking advantage of that. And it's probably just not his sons. It has probably become commonplace that the temple is corrupted. Because of what they are stealing and taking and living off of everybody else and taking from them and abusing the Israelite people. And so now we get a first hint there, that God is going to bring a king. He said that at the end of chapter 2. But Eli probably doesn't understand that. And what we're going to find is that Samuel is going to be a vital cog in that finding that first king. And so First Samuel, there's a lot of action in First Samuel. A lot of things are going on in First Samuel, and I think we're going to enjoy it. Have a great day.